little fight on the landing ground.
Thank you for joining us. You are listening to A Radio, and this is the Morning Moment. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. This is an article lifted right from Jason Kenney in Alberta. You have to listen to this and read this several times because this applies across Canada, not just in Alberta, except of course in Quebec. Links on my site. And it goes as follows. It's quite long-winded, but you need to listen to it. It's a leaked memo from the NDP, and it's talking about carbon tax and the future of carbon tax. This is the truth that Trudeau and his Liberal communist government doesn't want you to know about. This is the future of Canada if we allow these communist terrorists to remain in office, because that's what they are. They are destroying Canada. They are turning it into a northern Cuba. Listen to this. A recently revealed Federal Department of Finance memo regarding the Pan-Canadian Framework on Clean Growth and Climate states that the overall approach is to be reviewed by 2022, referred to as the 5-year review, to confirm the path forward, including continued increases in stringency in the future years. And it refers to page 3. Stringency, as far as I'm concerned, is strictness, is clearly tied to price and suggests further carbon tax increases are on the horizon for Albertans, and I would say elsewhere all over Canada. The NDP implemented a $30 per tonne carbon tax in Alberta, which the Premier has admitted to never campaigning on. Then the Prime Minister Trudeau wanted a $50 a tonne carbon tax, but the Premier agreed to that without even putting up a fight. Now we have clear evidence that the federal government wants further tax increases well into the future, said the United Conservative Party House leader, that's Jason Nixon. He said, "We know that the NDP has thus far been unwilling to stand up to their federal Liberal allies. With the NDP seeking re-election next year in Alberta, they must come clean with Albertans on at what point they'd actually stand up and say no to the Trudeau Liberals' escalating demands." He goes on. Albertans are already feeling the stress of increased costs due to the carbon tax. While the NDP tries to dismiss these costs as insignificant, we continue to hear from families and job creators every day who disagree. And now we have the indications that costs are going to go much higher, much heavier going forward, said Nixon. Some might dismiss these future carbon tax hikes as too far off into the future to warrant debate, but we know that investors look at figures when making long-term decisions. We have already seen tens of billions of dollars in investment flee Alberta in favour of jurisdictions without carbon tax. If the NDP supports accelerating that trend, they should be clear with Albertans, concluded the United Conservative energy critic Prasad Panda. The United Conservative government would repeal the NDP's carbon tax at its first legislative act and fight both tooth and nail against the imposition of carbon tax by Ottawa. A Jason Kenney-led government would also seek to build coalitions at the provincial and territorial levels to oppose gross overreach of power by Ottawa. Indeed, a Kenney-led government would reclaim Alberta's traditional role in leading the opposition to overbearing Liberal federal governments. Now, I will add this. Whilst Canada and Canadians are being hit with a tax on breathing, because that's what it is, the US has a new breath of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Makes you think, doesn't it? For the sake of Canada's economy and Canada's very survival, we must rise up at the ballot box and remove all these Liberal communists from power, whatever the flavour they are. Your thoughts, and please read that document several times. It's important. You can find more at aradio.wordpress.com, where you can find links to us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, iTunes, iHeartRadio Gab and email. We are continuing to reach out to you, so please pass on the links. Please click on the follow button on Spreaker.com. You can listen to all my morning moments at Spreaker.com under A Radio, that's EHRADIO, A Radio, and please click on the like button. And you can find all my podcasts and morning moments at aradio.wordpress.com and click on the Morning Moments tab.